This is also explained why creation affects no change l'mayla, the contrast between the way we affect change. Anything that affects change in something else itself must be in a state of movement. Not so l'mayla, and the basic reason explained, level after level, which he is still elaborating upon, is because for Hashem to create, it is the most negligible glimmer of a glimmer of a glimmer of him. And hence there's no change. He invoked two mishalim in our world, and they're both concurrent levels, as he went on to explain. And those two words that from our world, well, give me one word.
Mower?
No, Mower would be the source. We want to explain what the nature of the divine energy is, to define it, describe it. That is the creative force. It would be akin to a marshal. He did use but then he rejected that as not the more accurate. It exists, but not the final expression of the divine output. It would not be described as although it's a stage prior, but not the actual final investure. Why not? Why is not the right term? Because
too connected to the Lord.
What does that mean?
The Lord.
Pardon?
It's nothing but the light. But the luminary.
So that's good. If it's nothing but the Moir, then it has this complete bittul. It's ein ve'efes, the gabi the Moir. So it's a great marshal. That's the reason why it's a good marshal.
What's the name shell?
Huh?
What's the name shell?
Creation. The divine force invested in creation relative to God. His force. How are we describing it? The problem with describing a divine force merely as does give it still some validity or value relative to the Ma'ir, the luminary, for the simple reason that a luminary must produce Oir. Does God have to create? No. David has to create. As we always say, he's not a creator. Not only because a creator would imply there may be other creators. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's not a creator because that is saying that that's who he is when he expresses himself. He produces creation, like the artist produces art. That's not so. The Abishah chose to be a creator. It's a tremendous descent. So Mo'ir, which means luminary, is not the address of God himself, because a luminary must produce light, just like a creator has to create. All things must give expression to themselves. The nature of all things is self-expression. So the artist, the human being, will express himself the way human beings are hardwired to do. God is not hardwired in any way, not hardwired to be created, not hardwired, therefore, to be even a luminary, which means a source of revelation. Let's make that clearer. So, revelation, as we say, that's the little quote. Revelation means what? When we say the word revelation, we're already consenting to several conditions, or one basic condition, and that is there's somewhere to be revealed to. For God, is there anything other to begin with, for Atzmos? So we can't speak of God as being a Mo'ir, a source of light, to where? A, and B, inherent and integral in that. I mean, we're spiritually, not we're physically, conceptually, not even spiritually, conceptually. There's no other, there's no where. The whole idea of Oir, the other related reality is that Moir must produce Oir. The two things are connected, because if there's otherness, then you'll be expressed in it. They're inseparable. Okay, what I'm saying is not, it's the explanation we've been given in the Maimon. It's not going to find in any words. Just one line here. We're trying to explain it. But he rejected Oir as being as a more accurate, therefore, description of the divine output to create, replacing it with, now not really replacing, that's another level, which is how the whole thing began. What's a better way to describe, more accurate way to describe Hashem's relationship or his output to produce creation? It's all his name. Now, a name, that's really marginal. You don't need a name. You don't have to have a name. The name is not connected at all to the body, the entity for that which it is named, at least externally not. And that would be more accurate. But he didn't stop there. He said, even a name, no, that's saying still too much, revealing too much, implying too much significance. Significance of what to what? What am I saying? Implying too much significance for what to what? Attaching too much significance to the creative force relative to God, even calling it his name. So therefore, then he adds another term, which conveys at the end to us the accurate relationship or output. We want to show that it's all negligible and therefore it's unchanging. We're invested in our activities. God is not. That's the point. So what is the end? Not the name, but what? The what? English, plain English. The what? You know what? Quote the pasuk. Which part of the pasuk we're up to right now? Hoidei of what? That I told you they could learn. Pshat hoidei means. That's the way the Exodus explains, but it could be understood. Hoidei as meaning, quite simply, what? His glory is opposed to glory of his name. But the Exodus teaches it. The pasuk progresses, telling us even describing the Tzimtzum process from Oir to Shem. From this all metaphors, light, name, and not just name, but the glimmer of the name. I'm not sure what that means. Begashmi is a glimmer of somebody's name. Her order of the name. So that's a most negligible output. This is all to explain. Therefore, Hashem is unchanged, notwithstanding creation, because he's not nitfus, invested in it. It's the merest glimmer of a glimmer of a glimmer of his presence, of him. And therefore it's utterly concealed. Now, what do you say the whole purpose of Avodah is? I say, that's the way the matzav is mitzat creation. To use physical language, God creates in such a way that he's distant in terms of him being known, in terms of him being experienced. He's distant times distant times distant, utterly removed. What's the purpose of Avodah? That's still Torah mitzvahs. So what he didn't have to do, that's 5 lines or 6 lines down from Moishe, beginning of Moishe. You get one level, we have the mamshech, then a second, and you have the mamshech. What does he say? It's by the period. There are 4 lines in the top of Moishe. So first you have the mamshech. He says what? It's right there. Just right after the dot. Shmoi Mamish. His name, that the world should know his name. Not only that, we have the Mamshich Va'ad, next line, the actual king himself. And that, this was a very interesting line here that we need to appreciate. 4 lines from the bottom of the page. Through being Mamshich the Melech, then we'll have an understanding in the Koyach HaPoel that is invested in creation in a revealed way, and understand what? Understand that on the one hand it's him, on the other hand it's the most negligible output of him. So now he began to explain the Nusach HaBracha. This is the Nusach that for a bracha that we say before every mitzvah, even before drinking a cup of water. So what was it? What is it? Baruch ata Havaya Elokeinu melech ha'olam. Ata, we're not addressing, Ata is Atzmos. Maybe we'll later. But he explains Havaya Elokeinu and melech ha'olam. And let's match that up with the 3 levels we just identified at the outset now, namely Shmoi, Oir, first Oir, classic Oir, then Shmoi, and then only the ray of his name, Hoidai, only a glimmer of his name. So light, name, glimmer of name. How does this match up with the Havaya Elokeinu melech ha'olam? What's what? Take a moment to have a look. Bottom of the page, the next page as well. On the Shmoyed is no, the worst case should be wrong. What's his name? Yeah, we should point it out, not Mamish Atmos though.
Yes.
He calls it Atmos HaMelech, so there's already a gedder of a Melech here. So it's the body of the king, the actual king, his mind, his heart. Ato, we said, is pure Atmos. Here the diak is you. I'm sorry. Here it's Atmos HaMelech, just to go back. Ato, you, doesn't give any description at all. Nothing. So you that you are, beyond all language, that's reference to the very essence of Hashem. But we're talking about the names here, your revelation. So relatively speaking, Havaya is the Atzmos HaMelech, the actual king. Seichel Amidus, obviously beyond his name. So that's the level of Havaya about which the pasuk says, Ani Havaya is, yeah. Then the actual Koyach HaPoel, the actual end result, the divine investure in creation is called what? In the bracha, Elokeinu. That's the Hod and Ziv of his name. It's the glimmer, the ray of his name. A name to begin with is negligible. This is a ray of the name. Hod al-Eretz v'Shamayim. Ki Niskav Shemay Levada. His name is still bound up with Niskav, meaning, Niskav means, yeah, Levada, unto him, it's exalted unto him. Even his name is beyond creation. Haidai, that's what's invested, produces the whole universe. And biyah, I'm talking biyah, biri, etzirasi, the whole creation, physical and spiritual. So then but what's the level of Melech ha'olam? Melech ha'olam is what? Melech ha'olam. Yeah, Shem Adnai, yeah. So in the language we use the beginning. The language we use the beginning of this discussion. His name. We noted yesterday that the order doesn't follow from highest to lowest, because Havaya is the Etzem HaMelech. Elokeinu is already jumping to the third final level, the final glimmer of the name invested in creation. And Melech ha'olam is the middle level. Melech Olam B'Shmoi. And Elokeinu is, that's how he teaches here. In other places, it's the pasuk explained differently in order, going descending order. Havaya Elokeinu Melech Olam. But not here. And that's where we're up to. V'zeu, so let's continue. 4 lines from the bottom of the page. So let's just summarize because it's geography. We need to get it straight, and then we try and understand it too. That's a bonus. Can't verstehen the Wort Chassidus is a bonus. But let's first, get what's it saying? So in summary, he's saying that what is the final investure, the divine investure that comes from Hashem? It's Him, emanates from Him, that He reveals, that produces creation. The end is, it's merely, in metaphoric language, it's merely a glimmer of His name. A level above that is, what's the level above that then? The actual name. The level above that, the metaphor. First, before we got here, previous paragraph. Metaphoric language, first level of divine output. Then Shem, name, which is a result of a greater of a tzimtzum. Even greater tzimtzum is a reflection of His name. That's the language of the previous ois. Now we just applied that to the bracha. And this is what we say in the bracha, that Havaya is, well, not actually not. Havaya is the Atmas HaMelech. Havaya is the Atmas HaMelech. Elokeinu is the final ha'orah. And Melech Olam is Shem. What's missing in the bracha is actually not, is what? Because Havaya is Atmas HaMelech. What's missing in the bracha is this level oir. The term oir, the level oir. Which would be in between Atmas HaMelech and Shem. If we had to put the level oir, that's where it belonged. I hope we're not confused. I won't have time. I'm leaving today for New York. I won't have time, but at some point I'll make a bleed leather. It's a little page, a sheet, and just to match up the words, so we just refer to it quickly. Okay. So 4 lines from the top. This is what this is also, we just said now, explaining Havaya Elokeinu Melech Ha'olam. This is also the pasuk says in Yeshaya, Hashem is talking, He says, Ani Rishon, I am first, Vani Achan, I am last. Mibalodai Ein Elokim, and aside from me there is no God. When do we say this? When do we got this pasuk?
For some reason, that Shmuel tells me.
You something what?
For some reason, that Shmuel tells me the voice of man.
Oh, good. So you're on the right track. It's in the Malchus of Rosh Hashanah, Musaf of Rosh Hashanah. The reason you remember it because it's a famous cantorial piece by Zanvel Kvartin that every chazan, including Shmuley Telsner, sings. Actually, every chazan, it's my insistence, but or request. It's one of the most famous chazon ha'tshek period. I won't try and sing it now for you. I'll spare you. So ani rishon v'ani achrim mibalodai ein elikim v'nem v'yashem l'melech al kol haaretz, and then ends with Shema Yisrael. It's the end of Malchus in Musaf Rosh Hashanah. It's amazing. Whatever this Kvartin. If you heard of Kvartin, okay, one of the most famous chazanim of all time. What?
I couldn't name you the 3 most famous chazanim.
It's becoming more popular again, chazanas. It fell out of favor, but it's coming back. Just Leilin Nishmosai, there's another shtickle that Chazanim do. Chazanim. At least again, I requested this because I grew up with this. Is Tir Rabbi Shmuel. It's also Kvart in the same composer. Tir Rabbi Shmuel in the Avodah. That is perhaps the most famous Chazon shtickle, and it's up there with the great Chazanim, Yosele. Okay, so Ani Rishon v'Ani Achron, I am first and I am last. Mi balada in Elikim. The Pirish mi balada hu b'amtziisa. So mi balada, and aside from me, that's a reference to a level in between the Ani Rishon and the Ani Achron. Haino, I'm going to spell it out. There's an intermediate level. Bein Atzmas HaMelech, that's the Ani, the actual king, the I, which is Shebchinas Sevev Kalalmin, again, not Atzmas Mamish, but Sevev Kalalmin, God's infinite transcendent revelation. Shezeu Inyan Ani Rishon, this is I am first. Koidim Shikra Shmai Aleim. That's before I confer my name upon creation. There is no creation at this point, nor is it possible. So Ani Rishon is Sevev Kalalmin. At the end of the pasuk said, Vani Achron, Mibaloda Ein Elikim. Let's do this slowly. So there's a level between that and the level of Elikim. What's the level of Elikim? Shehu b'chinas ha'koach ha'pel b'nifal. We said that's the actual creative force, which is the ziv ha'ora mibchinas shmai, only the reflection of his name. What's the middle? So the first level is the king himself. The final level is the reflection of his name. And the middle level, the middle level, mi balodai, aside from me. So what's that a reference to? That's his name. His name conferred upon creation. So this pasuk, let's look at it again. So Ani Rishon, that's the Atzmos HaMelech Sevev. Mibalodai ein Elikim. So Mibalodai, the middle level, which then Elikim follows. Mibalodai is the level of what? That's the level of his name, Melech, the name of the king. And then Elikim is the actual creative force. So let's try to understand that Pashat that Pasuk teaches it. Ani Rishon v'Ani Achron. So v'Ani Achron would seem that's the level of Elikim. Aside from me, mibalodai ein Elikim, this level, who is the me, mibalodai, aside from me, conveyed in that word, mibalodai, which is in between the Elikim and the Ani Rishon. What is that? That's the level of Shmai, his name. Are we clear? It's not so neat, but you have to see the Tikkun Zoya. That that's the middle level between Ani Rishon and the Achron. So it seems I'm learning Pshat correctly. Ani Achron is Elikim, Ani Rishon is Havaya, Mibalodai, the middle level is Shem, the name. So Atmas HaMelech, the name of the Melech, the reflection of the name of the Melech. You agree? Seems that's the Pshat. Yes? Okay, we'll go further then. There's no dissent. Disagreement. Not dissent, disagreement. So so the final level, which is the actual creative force invested nifal in the created, in that which is brought into being, which is again a reflection of his name. That's called Elikim. How do we refer to Elikim in the text of the bracha of mitzvahs? We say, B'Shem Elikeinu. It's a name of God, yet it's associated with us, our God. Shemiyuchad liYisrael levado. The association is uniquely with Yidden, the fish and Dasel, the Maisa Mitzvah Shalem Dafke. So they reveal, as you said before, they reveal that creation comes from Shem Elikim, and what Shem Elikim is, the merest glimmer of the Eibishter's presence. We reveal that in the world. They make the world know this through our Maisa Mitzvahs. We don't just reveal and appreciate the actual creative force, but we draw in a revealed way. Havaya Atmas HaMelech. It's skipping the middle level, even higher than his name. So we reveal through Avodah that the world should appreciate that there's a divine force invested in creation. And this divine force is merely a glimmer of his name. And we don't just reveal that, but we draw the king himself. For our purposes, the Atmas HaMelech, Soivev Kol Almin, God's infinite transcendent revelation revealed into the world. Yeah, that's the mission. That's what we achieve through Maisa Mitzvahs Elikeinu. So it starts with Elikeinu. And we draw not just Elikeinu, and not just his name, but the very body, as it were, of the king, Atmas HaMelech, which is Shem Havaya. Okay, let's go further. Yeah, we're all on the same page. Okay, Vinyabus says, so how do we do it through mitzvahs? This is pretty extraordinary. Through mitzvahs that we do, you and I here in this world. So we reveal godliness in its successive levels, from the godliness that's invested but concealed in creation, the godliness that transcends that, his name, and beyond that, the very Atmas HaMelech, the very king himself, into creation. It's like through our mitzvahs, Pasha Begashmi is in the marshal. The king lives in the palace. No one's ever even seen him. And if he asks from the distance, and he said it's a dot on the balcony. They could put a mannequin there, nobody would know the difference. They're so far away. So what's the whole connection? His name, and even his name, it's a glimmer of his name. Maybe a glimmer of his name means there's not even an appreciation of what the name is. A name is a history. A name is content and value. A glimmer of the name means there is a name. What's the teichen of the name? I don't even know what that is. That's the name. Could be that's pshat a glimmer. A name, not even appreciation of what the name is. Now we got this, the when Hampstead had the grenadiers, but they call it, excuse me, I don't remember exactly the city. They marched for the city. I should know. Anyway, we got this beautiful little emblem. That's like the name. But this is a crest here and all kinds of things. I know what this means. I know what the crest means. That itself is the name. What I'm relating to is the ha'ara of the name. It's nice. That's all I can tell you. Can't tell you a thing about it. Even the name. Even the emblem. Maybe that's what the ha'ara of the name means. But what we're saying is, when a Yid does mitzvahs, he Pashut invites the king himself into his life, into his home, sitting at his breakfast table. Yid makes a bracha and Yid puts on film. So here, it's Pashut, the Melech himself is sitting, dining at your table and participating with you. That's Mr. Melech, and you're engaged in conversation. That's what every mitzvah does, as opposed to the king being in his palace, and you just have this very external relationship. You know his name, and that's it. And you bear his name, the country bears his name, his insignia. But a mitzvah, Pasha brings him into your living room, dining room, bedroom.